that has produced Christians who are less familiar with John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever shall believe in him will not perish but have everlasting life. And they've grown more familiar with Basketball Wives 101. That says it's okay for women to throw wine bottles at one another, to cuss like sailors, and to fight week in and week out, and to actually be on a show called Basketball Wives, and you're not married to anybody. But we could name all of them. We can name more of them than we can name disciples. And just a little sidebar, if you're not married to him, you're not his wife. He could call you wifey all day long, pretend that you're his wifey and all of that, but until he has paperwork, you're nothing to him. And so my sisters, stop giving your value away to somebody who doesn't even regard you enough to get real papers, but all you are to him is a nickname, wifey. We've raised the church, Reverend Diva, that's become less familiar with Philippians 4:13. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you, and grown more familiar with Frankie Lons and Mama Jones and Mama D's lessons on how mothers should have no standard, and that it's cool for parents to party with their children, and that when 50-year-olds show up dressed like 16-year-olds, that's cool, and in that order. That's what we know. A church that's less familiar with Galatians 5:1. Walk in the Spirit, and you will not fulfill the lusts of the flesh. A church that's grown less familiar with that, and more familiar, Reverend Amir, with Meek Mill's definition of church and amen. He's reduced church and amen to just words used as affirmation and acceptance of sexual advances and freakery outside of marriage. The Lord's church is in a state of paralysis. We've become way too much like the world. We dress like the world and say, but God knows our heart. It's not all about that, right? It's about your example and your witness. Yes, God knows your heart, but let's do better so that the world does not look upon our gospel like we're suspect. We dress like the world. We talk like the world. We run church like the world. We have expectations like the world. We're called to love the world, but we're not called to be like the world. And so we're comfortable with living double lives, comfortable with lifting holy hands on Sunday and using those same hands to cut cocaine that we sniff to take the edge off during the week. Using those same hands to abuse our wives and our children and our husbands. Sisters, we're not exempt. Some of us need to keep our hands to ourselves too. In a state of paralysis, living double lives, talking about the wonder and the majesty of God and all his mighty power on Sunday morning, but using those same lips the rest of the week to gossip, to tear down other people, and never once utter a gospel word. We're the church, and we've become way too much like the world. We're the church, and we've become way too much like the world. We were never called to fit in with the world. We're called to love them, but we're not called to fit in. The world hates us. Why would we want to fit in? Why are we trying so hard to fit in with a world that hates us?